This is the court window. It shows your leader and it shows your heir, and for most countries this would be called a queen. So say I was playing Castile and my leader died and I had a queen, usually if I had an heir and a queen but the heir was like 5 years old, I usually wouldn't be able to declare war on another country until my heir came of age. However, if a queen takes the throne and you have a queen, it will allow you to go to war under regency conditions, which until this patch you couldn't do. So thank you, Paradox, I love you, because that is one of the most frustrating things in the game. As you can see here, we have leader personalities added to our king. This is also true for generals. So you can see our guy has, okay, apparently he's 12 years old. We're gonna look past that. We have a kid on the throne, but you can see here he has the personality of conqueror, which is years of separatism -5. Separatism occurs when you invade and take provinces from countries. It affects national unrest and all that horrible stuff we don't like. So it says here, an AI ruler with this trait would desire any neighbouring land possible, be more likely to start wars, and spend less on buildings and gifts. And over time, we gain new personalities. There's also this button here, which is called Abdicate. So as long as you have an heir, and if your ruler's crap and you have an heir, you can give up the throne. So he will go away. So instead of putting him in charge of an army and getting the army killed, he will step down from the throne. This is also the same with our heirs. We can arrange little accidents for them if we want to. This is a new window that's been added. So you can see here, we can change government on some countries. As the Ottomans, we're not allowed to change from a sultanate. It shows our country modifiers. So these are some of the ones that I took in the decisions. And these basically show decisions. So it expires on rule of death, expires on rule of death, no expiration, and expires on rule of death. We can see here we can upgrade our government rank. So there's 3 ranks. There's duchy, kingdom, and empire. The higher, the better. We get better bonuses, and it reduces the number of years we need to change this, our national focus. We can also strengthen the government by spending 100 military power to increase our legitimacy by, I believe it's 25, but we're already at 100 legitimacy, so there would be no point of doing that. We can also see cultures in our empire. So we can see accepted cultures. Turkish is the primary culture. It's got this star here, and it also shows us that 55% of our development has the Turkish culture. Development is the sum of all of your provinces put together. So you can see if we come in here, development and technology cost. So for the great powers, every province has a development rating, and it basically dictates how many buildings you can build and also how much manpower and taxes and stuff you get from it. So moving on to diplomacy, this is the diplomacy window. We can see everyone's opinion of us, so most people don't really like us. And we can also show diplomatic feedback. This is a feature in an expansion, so we can select provinces that we don't own as stuff we want to own. So you can see here we have cores on these ones. Everything we have a core on is shown in red. Everything we have claims on is shown in yellow. Everything belonging to us is in green, and if, say, Serbia here was my vassal, he would show up, I believe, red and blue checked or something. He would have stripes through him, which shows that we consider it part of our empire. So if I was playing Aragon, Naples starts under a personal union with Aragon, and so Naples would appear striped. Moving on to the economy menu. This is where we can change our maintenance on things, so we can not fund the navy at all, and we can change how much money we throw at things. So we can turn our military funding all the way down if we want more money. We can spend more on rooting out the corruption in our nation. That's how corruption is lowered. Or we can say, screw it, we don't want to spend any on rooting out corruption. So as you can see there, when I turned it down, I got a message saying my corruption is growing. We have missionary maintenance, The higher the maintenance, the faster your missionaries will work. And we have colonial maintenance, which doesn't really matter until we get to colonial ages. We have an overview of all our income and expenses. We can spend, I believe it's diplomatic, to reduce inflation. So when you take gold off people, inflation rises, which makes it more expensive to produce units and to buy buildings. We can also take loans, and we can also debase the currency. This is another new feature added by Rights of Man. So we get more money, but we take a corruption hit, and we can raise war taxes. Trade is a complicated thing in Europa 4. As you can see, this is the trade map mode, and it's just confusing as all hell. All you really need to know is your traders start out automatically assigned. So I'm going to recall this merchant in Alexandria, and I'm actually going to unpause the game for now, and I'm going to repause it. I'm just getting a notification that the knights raided our coast because they're assholes and want to be invaded. And so we can now come and assign one of our merchants to collect from trade in Constantinople, which is our main trading port. So you can see now we're getting an extra 7.10 a month from collecting from trade. So if you can manipulate trade well, you can get a lot of money out of it. So you can see now the second most money I'm making is from trade. Technology I have already been through, so now we're moving on to ideas. Each country has its own separate set of ideas. So you can see for Ottoman ideas we have core creation cost, cultures, manpower, recovery, all this good stuff that we like. These are unlocked by completing idea groups. So you can see here we have all these things saying unlocked at and then different titles. This is affected by your administrative technology, and when we get to Tech 5 we can come in here and we can select one of these to adopt. You can't take all of them, but you can switch them. And what these are is ideas you can take. So if we adopted innovative, we would have to spend a certain amount of money, certain amount of monarch points to take each idea. So they all give different benefits, and depending on the country you're playing, you can take different ones, and it is very nice to have. And as you fill up the idea groups, so we need 3 more ideas from any idea group to unlock the next national idea. So say we adopted innovative and we got the first 3 of the ideas in there, we would unlock millets. So that's what that is. War exhaustion happens when we're at war. If a war is really long, this will build up, your people will want peace, your revolt risks will go up, all that horrible stuff. Expansion you don't really need to worry about until you get to the colonial age. It basically dictates how far away you can send colonists and that kind of stuff. You can see here the number of states we have, and we can see how much they cost us each month. States cost maintenance, but if you put a province from a territory to a state, it also affects how much manpower you can have, all that good stuff. This is the rebels window. Currently we have no revolt risk, so we don't have any rebels here. It gives you various options to placate them, like spending military power for reducing their progress. It will appear up here. Once they get to 100 progress, they will set out on a revolt, so a rebel army will pop up and start occupying states. Religion we've already been over, so we're now going to head on to the military window. So here you can see what units we have in our army and all the possible units that we can actually have as our army. So currently we start with Yaya infantry, and as you can see, the more this goes up, the better they are. Currently we don't start with cannons, but as your military tech goes up you will unlock them. It's also the same by showing what naval unit is our current best naval unit in each category. So we have heavy ships, light/trade ships, they can be used to increase your trade power, galleys, and cogs. Cogs are used for transporting troops around. It shows you your leaders, it can let you recruit new ones, gives you the option to turn off maintenance on all your forts so that you don't spend anything. And it also shows you your tradition, your morale, your force limit, and all this good information that we like knowing. Army tradition and navy tradition, if I can speak properly, is important. The higher it is, the better your armies will perform. Basically, they'll have higher morale, they will keep fighting for longer. Discipline is also good. You want this number as high as possible. The higher your discipline, the better your men will fight. Siege ability affects how quickly we can siege down provinces and ones with forts. Defensiveness is how well we will do if one of our forts is being sieged. The higher the number, the longer your fort will on average hold out. Combat width is how many regiments will fight at the same time. Basically, increasing it is better. This here is the subjects window. We don't have any subject nations, so we can't access that at the moment. Subjects are just like vassals. So if we had Serbia as a vassal, we could go and take some actions with him. We could ask him for money, or we could designate him as a march so he gets a higher force limit. That kind of thing. But we can't do that yet as we don't have any. Estates is an interesting feature. They give you various benefits to provinces they control. As you can see, we have 4 different ones, and I have here the estates map mode. So we can see everything in red is controlled by the Umira. Everything in blue is controlled by the merchants, so we get better trade power, and so on and so on. They have influence, and high level of influence with increased benefits provided by loyal estates, but also the penalties suffered by a disloyal one. Ideally, you want to keep their loyalty above 50%. If it falls below 40, you will start suffering penalties. So you can see if it's 40% or below for the Umira, we have less manpower recovery and higher land maintenance, which is not nice. You can also go and take various actions with them. You can recruit ministers on the Dhimmi, you can impose new taxes, and most of these take loyalty hits or influence hits, or some can even cost you prestige or legitimacy. So you can grant these guys, the merchants, monopoly charges. It'll increase their influence and their loyalty, but we lose 5 prestige. And there is a maximum time between each one, so you can see we have to wait 20 years to do this. Down here is the map. We can go and look around at various points in the world. You can click, and then you have the map modes here. These are ones you can assign yourself, so if you right click it, you can go and add map modes in and change the existing ones, but I'm happy with mine, and then you can access all the map modes in these here. So I'm going to go and switch back to political, which is the default. Here we have the Holy Roman Empire. That's basically all these countries right in the middle of Europe. I will go into that on a future video. And down here we have other options, so we can see history, the Crusade of Varna, all that kind of stuff, modifiers, and we can, if we hit F or click that, we can find provinces. So say we wanted to find where Torda was, we can type in Tor, and then it would appear in the list, and we can find it, and it will be highlighted. That's useful for when you get claims and stuff, or something happens to a province and you want to see what actually happened. And then in here, the ledger, this can be useful. You can go and filter through countries according to their economies, their relations, but military is probably the most useful. So you can filter armies, navies, losses, all that stuff. So if we wanted to see who's got the biggest army, we can filter according to that. So currently the Timurids have the largest army over here, followed by the Austrians. We actually have the 4th largest at the beginning of the game. And of course you can filter by manpower, so who's got the most manpower, and that's what the ledger is used for. This is just statuses on all the various aspects. You can, I believe you can collapse them, I'm not sure. But we can change the options here, so if we don't want to see, let's see, what don't we want to see? If we don't want to see our missionaries, we can get rid of it and it will disappear. So that can be customized according to your preferences. Down here shows events that happen with countries that we have an interest in. So we can see that Austria accepted a military alliance with Aragon. That's important because we don't like Austria. And you can filter it as well. You can filter messages only from interesting countries, and you can see messages about you. So that is the beginner's guide to the UI on Europa Universalis 4. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back for more beginner tips in the next video. Goodbye.